Hey everyone, so Epic Games just released recently an exclusive interview with the Battlefield design director, Daniel Berlin. And in case you missed it, there's some pretty important info about the next Battlefield 2042 game. Obviously, we're waiting for the July gameplay, and I'm pretty excited to read this to you, so be sure to smash that like button. But just when we thought we couldn't get any more excited, we had a chance to sit down with Daniel Berlin, and I really hope I spell his surname correctly, design director on Battlefield 2042, and talk more about development, design, and inspiration behind what might just be the biggest Battlefield game yet. And Robodogs, of course. For starters, are there any hidden spoilers or Easter eggs in the gameplay trailer that players have to keep up an eye out for? There's definitely stuff in there, and I expect the community to dissect the thing and really find those particular details. I'm not gonna call anything out since specifically we're still in the reveal mode, but there are things in the reveal trailer that we might have not talked about yet. So there's gonna be more features. Are you kidding me? That's super exciting to me. I look forward to that surgical dissection that the community will do, still framing the whole thing. And there's gonna be a lot more things than, probably the reveal trailer is something like when they show Little Evolution at the start, you show a lot of things. But in the game by itself, there's gonna be a lot more features in that. It sounds like these new maps and 128 players are truly gonna be making Battlefield bigger than ever before. What sort of challenges the developers face in scaling up to such large content modes? The largest challenge was probably finding the right format for level design. It isn't simple as, hey, let's just take an existing battle map, take the edges, and go expand. It doesn't actually play that well if you do that. So we had to do a completely new approach with this level design. This is actually inspired by what we've done in the past. We call it clustering. What we do is create a very distinct areas on the map that are very high density with asset and props. And this is like map details. So exciting. So they made a big stadium and in it, and where there are multiple capture points within the stadium, and if you want to own the stadium, you have to find through multiple points there. Imagine that with 128 players. That is just super exciting to me, especially as you have multiple objectives, multiple points in a single location, and then you take that over, or when you see the red pattern when you're entering a mini-map, that's just super exciting. But through the map, we have clusters of like gameplay areas that we really lean into, and that's what the map we approached and applied. If you look at older maps, some lean into concept as well. In the past, you have Goldman Railway in Battlefield 4 that does this. For example, Sinai Desert from Battlefield 1 as well. And they're, going back to its roots, making those beautiful maps and giving them attention they deserve. Some of these maps are really huge, and with 128 players as well, to have these massive battles going on, it's something else. It's definitely the next generation of Battlefield. Did the team lean into the cluster design in the interest of creating more of the epic moments that we've talked about? Sure, I mean, the thing we've been really pushing is the Sandbox. I've always been a core part of the NDA that we're a sandbox shooter, and we still have to this massive play spaces. We're able to take all the different maps of that toolbox, and now it's modern too, with cutting-edge technology. And you can see here, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 helis, which is super exciting, and you can see that they're all shooting over here on a big crane, and there's fighting going below. There's a lot of players, and that's what makes Battlefield with a lot of player counts. When you fuse all of that into the same massive Battlefield, I think Battlefield itself becomes all it can be. It's like, hey, there's a bunch of infantry moving across the field, but there's also tanks, there's jets, and there's helicopters. There's destruction everywhere you go, and that's what I want to see in the Battlefield games. When you combine these massive maps with this new technology, you're able to bring it all together and create something that truly feels like Battlefield. And to the end, the decision to focus on multiplayer for this new area of Battlefield afforded the dev team and opportunities to do things they never done before. Are there gonna be any new things that we haven't seen? I think what does it is gives us opportunity to focus on the things we do best. Multiplayer has always been a core part of our identity, so while we don't necessarily have a traditional single-player campaign, I don't think there'll be a single-player campaign at all, as confirmed. We have found ways to push that multiplayer experience to the next level and also give that multiplayer experience to a wide array of players. So I think there's going to be some sort of a story in the Battlefield multiplayer, which is really, really good. So we're showing all these Battlefield epic moments in the trailers. We're still, going to be able to experience them if you want to play alone as well against AI. And that's the big important thing. If you want to, go for that story mode, if you want to go for that chill and chillax, it's possible. You'll still be able to play with friends against AI and with AI on your team. We have had AI before, but for the first time, we're really leaning on their functionality. And this is something I have said before, them testing Battlefield 1's AI could now actually show their AI in this game. Their aspect of, hey, if you want to hop in and play this game at your own pace, you're not interested in the competitive environment and you just want to play our game and still progress, still unlock weapons, you can't do that. Playing against AI is not a separate game mode in Battlefield 2042, it's just a way of playing our multiplayer experience. It's worth noting that even without the single-player campaign, we're still delivering a compelling story through the live service. The live service is what's going to be really good. Telling the story as the world evolves through the specialists that we're creating. So I'm guessing, each specialist is going to be having its own event, its own story. We're seeing this in a lot of previous games, but I think that's one of the specialists, actually, tanks going here now, and there's a huge, I think that's actually a volcano eruption of some sorts. I might be wrong, probably not. Just a big explosion, but volcano eruptions are definitely possible. But backtracking here, we know that there are a lot of tech questions that players have in mind in terms of specs, crossplay, anti-cheat, but it sounds like most of that will be revealed in future, right? So a lot of people have been asking me about crossplay so far. In terms of anti-cheat, it's important for us to say it's exceptionally important for us to have players to have play sessions that are free from harassment, free from cheating. Bye-bye cheaters. That's all I can say. There's an EA-wide program called Positive Play that we're also joining with 2042. But we don't go on any specific details right now. And something that AntiCheat was seriously requested, otherwise it would ruin Battlefield. And, they'll be providing more info. I'm definitely hoping we get an AntiCheat. I'm definitely hoping we get more information. And at a later date, I'm guessing at July or at a later date, basically in 1 month we're getting a new gameplay trailer. I'm not sure if we're getting anything before that. Right now we got that trailer we wanted. We saw what's up, we saw a gameplay trailer, and right now we just gotta go through that waiting period. And this game takes place in 2042, and we see things like the robot dog and the massive LED-lit skyscrapers in the reveal trailer, and that was simply beautiful. How the design team approached designing a setting that is both futuristic and realistic and immersive. When we first sat down, we had a lot of concept for this game. We knew that we wanted to lean into the modern, we wanted to lean into cutting edge technology, so this setting was just such a good fit for us in terms of time and the name, everything just clicks. But we also wanted to create a place where our specialists could exist and get really interesting backstories. We also wanted to push the envelope on our dynamic world with these tweeters that come in, for example. We wanted to take away the creative barriers and go outside the box. The world is really important to our games, and focusing on maps is actually one of the core aspects I think that's really important in Battlefield 2042. How do we take these massive maps and make them interesting? You have to add story to them, you have to add lore. With the setting of 2042 and the playfulness of the sandbox is something that's really important to us as well. With that said, the feeling you get when you're playing 2042 and playing Battlefield in general is a ground one in terms of how the world is perceived, and that's something we've always done in the past. It's plausible space even though it's fictional world in a sense. And speaking of inquiring players want to know, can we pet the robot dogs? That's something everyone wants to know. Oh my god, well that's a little bit too detailed for now. We'll see what we can cook up. We'll answer these questions a bit later, and we'd love to see that. But if we could do that, that would be simply awesome. But hopefully you enjoyed this interview. Do let me know what you think of this. So the key features here are how they created the maps, about the anti-cheat, about everything like crossplay, what the really important things are, and basically a hint at anti-cheat. So I love this. I simply love this. Also AI, some things we have known, but some things are pretty fresh. So see you until next time. Peace, everyone.